In Argentina, despite widespread popular rejection, the Provincial Court of Jujuy approved the reforms to the constitution promoted by the region's governor, Gerardo Morales. In Honduras, over 40 women inmates died during a riot in the Tamara prison located in the department of Francisco Morazan. Authorities warned that the final death toll could increase. And in Russia, the government announced that the Ukrainian armed forces are planning a series of attacks against Russian territory. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Argentina, in the midst of violent repression against social demonstrations in Jujuy, the Supreme Court approved changes to the province's constitution promoted by Governor Gerardo Morales. The ruling party's members of the convention, together with the Frente Justicialista, approved and swore in the partial reform of Jujuy's constitution in a closed-door session, which will be enforced after its publication. During the session, the constituents who respond to Governor Gerardo Morales endorsed the reversal of 2 articles related to indigenous peoples. During the session, a massive march that brought together multiple sectors of society was repressed by the police. On Tuesday, a riot in a women's prison in Honduras left at least 41 inmates dead. The incident took place in the Centro Femenino de Adaptación Social, a prison located in the municipality of Tamara, Tegucigalpa. According to local media, the deaths were the result of a fight between inmates belonging to 2 gangs, the Mara Salvatrucha and the Barrio 18 gang. Local media, citing unofficial sources, reported that 25 inmates were burned to death and 16 were shot to death. The Deputy Minister of Security, Julissa Villanueva, ordered the intervention of the prison with a hard hand through her Twitter account. Parallel to these incidents in Tamara prison, where there was also a police intervention in the men's prison of El Ama, some 300 kilometers from Tegucigalpa, after shootings took place inside the prison.
Undoubtedly, what happened today at this unfortunate moment is the product of the direct attack by organized crime against the actions we are deliberately carrying out against organized crime. The loss of human lives will be not tolerated, and we will generate direct investigations to accuse all those persons in prison who are in collusion with organized crime, which is operating against the actions that we are undertaking in the different penitentiary centers. We are not going to negotiate against criminality. This is a direct attack against the government of a woman, President Xiomara Castro, who has the political will to move forward.
In Venezuela, the government presented the geopolitical map of sanctions before social organizations and the diplomatic corps. Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, Foreign Minister Ivan Hill, and Vice Minister of Anti-Blockade Policy of the Ministry of Economy, Finance and Commerce, William Castillo, headed the presentation. During the meeting, a group of friends in defense of the United Nations Charter were also present. Vice President Rodriguez pointed out that the distinction between sanctions and unilateral coercive measures helped to understand how they were formed and against whom they were implemented. Furthermore, Rodriguez stated that the map is an instrument to study the sanctions imposed against 30 countries. In Uruguay, the government decreed a water emergency in the entire metropolitan region in order to respond to the water shortage crisis caused by the drought. During a press conference, the president of Uruguay, Luis Lacalle Pou, referred to the water emergency affecting the area of Montevideo and its surroundings. The Uruguayan president said that the decisions are being taken based on a forecast of no rain in the coming month. He also assured that the population will be kept informed about the quality of the water and the regularity of the supply. The Uruguayan president explained that the decision was taken in order to have faster and simpler legal processes with respect to a pipeline infrastructure project to be built in the San Jose River. In Colombia, opposition sectors marched to reject the reforms proposed by President Gustavo Petro's government. The mobilization called March of the Majority had several gathering points in Bogotá, Cali, Medellín, Cúcuta, Barranquilla, among others, where they emphasized the defense of democratic values. During the day, citizens expressed their discontent about the parliamentary discussion of three reforms. The mobilization occurs when a sector of Congress seeks to stop the reforms promoted by the government, which, in the social context the country is living, promotes the inclusion of the opposition itself. In Brazil, a second young man died after a gun attack at an educational center in the state of Paraná. The death occurred this Tuesday morning in a health center, and it was confirmed by the victim's relatives. The death of student Luan Augusto was caused by multiple organ failure due to the bullet wound he received in the head the day before. On Monday, another 16-year-old female student died as a result of this violent incident. Authorities arrested the 21-year-old shooter. Political leaders have expressed their condolences to the families of the victims. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermudez arrived in Serbia on Tuesday after visiting Italy and the Vatican City. The first secretary of the Central Committee of Cuba's Communist Party and President of the Republic arrived at the Serbian International Airport, Nikola Tesla, shortly after 9 p.m. local time. He is accompanied by the Cuban Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bruno Rodriguez, among others. The delegation was received at the airport by the European nation's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Defense, Milos Musevic. This is the first official visit to Serbia by the Cuban head of state. According to a statement by the Cuban presidency on its official website, Díaz-Canel is expected to complete a busy work agenda on Wednesday, which will surely consolidate the excellent ties that exist between the two countries since November 1902. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. All the stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu accused Ukraine's armed forces of plotting strikes on Russian territory, including Crimea, with HIMARS rockets and Storm Shadow missiles. The top military official said in a news brief on Tuesday that the use of these weapons outside of the special military operations zone would trigger immediate strikes by Russia against decision-making centers in Ukraine and would imply the full-fledged involvement of the US and UK in the conflict. The Russian Defense Minister informed that since June 4th, Ukrainian armed forces have launched 263 attacks on Russian positions, but all attempts were foiled by the Russian army. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan stated recently that the U.S. does not oppose Kiev troops attacking Crimea, as it considers part of Ukraine.
The leadership of Ukraine's armed forces plans to strike the territory of the Russian Federation, including Crimea, with HIMARS and Storm Shadow missiles. The use of these missiles outside the zone of a special military operation will mean the United States and Great Britain's full involvement in the conflict and will entail immediate strikes on decision-making centers in Ukraine. Since June the 4th, the armed forces of Ukraine have attempted 263 attacks on the positions of Russian troops. Thanks to the competent and selfless actions of our units, all of them were repelled. The enemy did not reach his goal.
The Russian government reiterated the importance of exporting Russian grains to the most vulnerable nations in Africa. Kremlin Press Secretary Dmitry Peskov informed that President Vladimir Putin referred to this issue during a meeting with a delegation of African leaders held on Saturday in St. Petersburg to discuss the conflict with Ukraine. Peskov pointed out that during the meeting, Putin informed about the possibility of withdrawing from the grain agreement after stating that it restricts the export of these Russian products. In this regard, Peskov stated that despite this, there will be an option to deliver grain to the poorest countries of Africa free of charge. The Russian official recalled that only about 3.5% of the Ukrainian grain went to the poorest countries of the world and more than 40% to the prosperous countries of the European Union. Engineering, petrochemical industry, tourism, medicine, and IT were among the topics discussed at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. Ksenia Komisarova, reporter from TV Bricks, with the details.
machine building, agro-industry, petrochemicals, medicine and IT, means of Russianness will inspire participants of St. Petersburg International Economic Forum to develop promising directions. In response, dozens of roundtables and panel sessions, thousands of talks, hundreds of agreements signed, portfolios with millions of dollars in contracts and other impressive figures. For example, the volume of India-Russia mutual trade has grown 2.5 times since the beginning of the year.
We have great potential in sectors like pharmaceuticals, agriculture, chemicals, and food processing. In these areas, we can build on our cooperation and increase exports from India to Russia.
Eliminate trade imbalance is their common objective. For this, according to both sides, we need to create joint production, support small and medium businesses, open new transport corridors, improve payment systems, and most importantly, communicate more. Information about each other is an invaluable currency for entrepreneurs and for their states.
Forums like this one are a starting point for big business and for our big future.
Analysts estimate that by 2050, India's GDP could be as high as 30 trillion, placing it among the world's three largest economies. China took its place long ago. The interest in its countries, Russia, is so great that the huge hall could barely accommodate all those wishing to listen to Russian-Chinese business dialogue. The event was symbolically held on the day the Shanghai Cooperation Organization was founded and on the birthday of President Xi Jinping, and not a single report damps the festive mood. The relations between the two powers have indeed entered the most favorable period of their joint history.
We cannot say that because of the rapid growth in trade and economic cooperation, we have neglected cooperation in the humanitarian sphere. Our progress in that front is also incredibly good. For example, several Russian music groups have offered concerts in China this year, and all the events are sold out already, and it is very difficult to get tickets.
What is happening now breaks schools to be called out. While on the margins of the forum, they were talking about the prospects for a new multipolar world. Egypt applied to join the group. There are already nearly 20 countries wishing to join BRICS, and according to experts, this trend reflects the increasing role of the association in a national arena. Naturally, the BRICS agenda took a special place in the forum's business program. An independent alliance of rating agencies, the ESG Association of the Five, and BRICS paid a single payment service. The association has many plans, even more, the desire to fulfill them.
Every year I come to this forum, and I can say that today the prospect of the BRICS bloc look more promising and exciting than ever.
The new economic reality increases the potential of a number of integration associations. As noted by Ivan Polyakov, chairman of the Russian Asian Business Council, who moderated the core business dialogue, full-fledged cooperation with the Association of Southeast Asian Nations is among the priorities of the Eurasian Economic Union's international activities. One of the points of contact is digital technologies.
With the rise of digital technology, artificial intelligence is becoming increasingly important in our lives. It has the potential to bring about major changes. It is increasing productivity and the quality of healthcare, as well as the level of education.
We certainly need a greater exchange of information. Although we have a well-established relationship at the Commission and Asian government level, in practice, the business community has very little knowledge of market opportunities.
Science and technology interaction, innovation, industrial cooperation, and of course, tourism. Later, on the Southland SPF, Minister of Investment and External Economic Relations of Myanmar Council announced the launch of direct flights between the country and Moscow and Novosibirsk in July. A good gift for the 5th anniversary of the strategic partnership between Russia and Asia. Regular flights to Cuba are also resumed this summer. The island of freedom awaits not only Russian travelers, but also businessmen, for whom it should become both a partner and a hub for access to other attractive Latin American markets. Participants in the business dialogue agreed that both export and import should be developed.
Russia is looking for new partners.
Russia is looking for new partners. I believe this forum is very important for exchanging contacts and establishing new ties, to expand cooperation and discover new prospects of work with different countries.
The total number of forum participants this year exceeded 70,000 and representative 130 countries met in St. Petersburg.
We are very happy to be here. We see a huge number of different people around us. investors, businessmen who help Ghana and the whole of Africa to see new horizons in the international economy.
Foreign investors want to cooperate not only with Moscow and St. Petersburg, they are also looking at other constituent entities of the Federation. The FTS and the Arctic are named as interest territories, where the investment portfolio already includes about 3,500 projects for a total amount of about 8.5 trillion.
At this forum, we have signed 8 investment agreements. These are both binding agreements and agreements of intent. This is when a project is only at the very initial stage of implementation. Speaking of industries, these are ship repair, aquaculture, and fishing industry.
Agricultural development and food security issues have become important topics in the forum's agenda. After all, the world population is already 8 billion people against the background of the planet's limited resources. The challenge is to ensure quality food for all with as little damage to the environment as possible.
This, of course, is digitalization, introduction of artificial intelligence. It is soil-saving technologies. It is improvement of breeding work using the latest scientific achievements. It's new food production technologies.
Trying to slow climate change, conserving nature, and developing green energy are topics that are relevant for the whole world, including the African continent. Algeria is now giving priority to agriculture and attracting investments, said President Abdelmajid Tebboune at the plenary session of the forum.
We
are open to all those who wish to support our efforts to develop an investment in a friendly environment. We invite investors from all over the world, including Russia, and we will give them, of course, many benefits. We will create the opportunity for a huge, profitable investment.
For his part, Russian President Vladimir Putin has stressed the importance of international cooperation. Settlements in national currency have brought global trade to a new level.
Today, about 90% of our settlements with the EAEU countries are made in rubles. More than 80% of our settlements with China are made in rubles and yuan. We are actively developing trade in international currencies with other states as well. Our immediate neighbors, as well as the BRICS and SCO countries, are a priority. In short, we have a whole range of tools to support foreign economic activity and in all spheres, industry, agriculture, and other sectors.
Meetings, networking, exchange of experience, contacts, and contracts, from early morning until late at night, for whole days, but even that was not enough for some. However, many participants and guests of the forum will meet again soon at the Russia-Africa Summit to be held in St. Petersburg in late July.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back from the South. The government of China expressed its support to the expansion process of a BRICS group formed by Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. At a press conference, the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mao Ning, stated that the BRICS are vigorously promoting the reform of the global governance system and increasing the representation and voice of emerging markets and developing countries. In this sense, the diplomat pointed out that the bloc constitutes an important platform for cooperation among them and in defense of multilateralism. Mao Ning reiterated that the Asian giant is committed to the advancement of the BRICS expansion and is ready to bring more like-minded partners to the bloc. On Tuesday, Rwanda's prosecuting authorities announced that former police officer Fulgenci Kayishema, who is accused of participating in the 1994 Rwandan genocide, abandoned his application for bail and applied for asylum in South Africa. Kayishema, who has been on the run since 2001, was arrested last month under the false name of Donatien Nibashumba in a grape farm outside Cape Town. The International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda had indicted him for genocide for his alleged role in the destruction of the Nyangé Catholic Church, one of the bloodiest chapters in the 1994 Rwandan genocide, in which 2,000 people were killed. According to the National Prosecuting Authority, Kayishema faces 54 charges in South Africa, including some related to immigration fraud. Senegalese President Macky Sall affirmed that his country's commitment to democracy will continue. Sall spoke in Lisbon to the press alongside Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa. In recent weeks, Dakar has seen clashes erupt between Senegalese police and supporters of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko after he was convicted of corruption of minors but acquitted of charges of raping a woman who worked in a massage parlor and making death threats against her. In residential neighborhoods, protesters threw stones at police, blocked roads and set tires on fire. The army patrolled the streets while police fired tear gas at protesters and arrested people deemed to be troublemakers. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa and the governments of the Netherlands and Denmark launched a $1 billion green hydrogen fund to help kickstart an industry in the fight against climate change. South Africa's energy transition plan to set up an export hub for green hydrogen aims to use renewable energy without producing greenhouse gas emissions. During a business forum held at the Capitol Hotel in Pretoria, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte said South Africa has what it takes to lead the fight against climate change. These sentiments were echoed by his Danish counterpart, Mette Frederiksen. President Ramaphosa welcomed his fellow heads of state efforts, saying their investments in renewable energy will be beneficial to all three countries. South Africa wants to produce hydrogen for use in aviation, green steel, transport, and more, as well as for export to the European Union.
With its enormous renewable resources, South Africa is uniquely positioned to become a key player in the global hydrogen market. And the Netherlands is equally well positioned to become a strategic partner. First, as a partner for local development in the fields of renewable energy, hydrogen and infrastructure. And also as a hub for hydrogen imports.
Denmark is of course very proud to be a partner in South Africa's just energy transition. We will contribute with around 3.2 billion rands to improve supplies of green power and to strengthen the skills, the employment, and the local development. And as a Prime Minister in Denmark, at the same time, I'm a social democrat. And I would really like to underline the importance of growth, fighting climate change, and development. It has to go hand in hand.
The engagements that have been held during this visit are very important for all our three countries. They provide a glimpse of what South Africa has to offer and to allow for direct exchanges on how we can best collaborate on the numerous available opportunities.
We have come to the end of this news brief. From you can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.